You're listening to Everyday Leaders with Sarah Morgan, and today we're speaking with Liz Kachembere.
Hi, Liz. Thank you so much for joining me today. You've had an incredible journey with your practice, and I think we met probably 2 or 3 years ago now, and that's why I brought you here today, because I just think you're such a great influence to be able to share your story and help others on their journey into success and leadership, because you're a leader in your field and what you're trying to do. And I have a few questions for you, and it'll be great for you if you can answer them.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
So when we first met, I don't know, maybe you could tell a little bit about the story of where you were 2 years ago in your practice and what it kind of looked like.
So we first met at a BNI meeting. And that time I knew what I was doing, how I was working, but I had always heard that one should specialize as a naturopath because, we treat people with so many conditions, but I was getting more good results more with women, and particularly women with fibroids, but I just didn't know how to turn that into a program and actually measure it and see how the results would come about. And so we got talking, and it took a while for me to actually register and believe that I could just do that. Because I know so much, why am I just focusing on one thing? And I think we then worked around until I could actually focus on that one thing and then go deeper. It almost became like you focus, you go deeper into it. And the more I started to research and think about how to actually help my clients, then I actually found that there were other areas of actually helping this condition that I had actually never thought about.
Yeah. So I remember that you were doing lots of fibroids, obviously, but then also pregnancy, and then there was other elements of health that you were helping, and obviously you're qualified to do all of that. But I think one of the things that we were able to work on was what do you have really awesome success with? And we know that through your treatment of women with fibroids, you help them to have babies, which they often can't, and you help them to have a life, which often they can't in certain circumstances. So we did some research around that, and I remember discovering there was something like hundreds and hundreds of millions of women around the world have this disease that, as far as the medical community is concerned, it's incurable, but yet you have statistics and proof that it is curable. And so for us to come to you and go, right now, what's the vision now? What are you trying to achieve? Tell everyone what it is.
So the vision now is to help 100 million women in my lifetime.
Yeah,
and so
awesome.
I've redone my program. We did the first one with Sarah. The very first one I developed was with you, Sarah.
Yes.
To be specific, to say we're going to do it over 6 months. The first month we're going to do this, and went through it. And on the first version, I enrolled, I think 20 women, maybe 21 women on that. And they've since finished. I think we now have only 2 left on the first people that we enrolled in there. And we've had a couple of babies from the first lot.
That's awesome. How exciting.
Thank you. And so now I have developed a workbook. Now I'm actually excited because now from the first lot, I can see where we kind of maybe missed some steps. And then also I've done a lot more research because there's lots of research, but it's kind of hiding. So I had to go onto journals, look for research, the things that I was coming through with my first lot of clients that I was treating. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't know what I now know.
Yes. And now I guess it's about putting that system in place that we set up so that you can bring many, 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 many people through it to get to the 100 million, right? Because that's a big goal and totally doable, because I think what you do is amazing, and some women probably don't even know it exists. So we really need to get that word of mouth and that marketing and all of those other elements to get you in front of people. Now, I guess the other question, I have lots of people that come and they think about working with me, and they think about where they want to spend their time or their investment. What would be the cost? So if you imagine that we didn't meet and we didn't get you focused, what is the time cost? What is the stress cost? And what is the actual income that you might have missed out on because of that?
I think, to be honest, when I started to calculate the amount, the charge that I do per program, and looking at if I were to do a certain number, I could easily get into the millions. I would never, ever have imagined that at all as a naturopath, that, you know what, you could actually just have a program, put it out into the world and get it there. And now I've done my Europe registrations, South African registration, and just doing those steps and actually seeing that, you know what, it's actually possible. And yet, if I hadn't focused on the one thing, I wouldn't have done that.
Well, you'd be trading time for money, right?
Yes.
You still have people coming at your clinic. You had to have, people from South Africa come to your clinic. Although I think you had some people did come and travel to Australia to see you, but now you can have way more people come and see you because it's all online, and it's all about having that focus because you're the expert in your field for what you do for women.
Yes.
And I think you touched on a really good point, which I think is another great opportunity that you can share with everyone, is the belief. You didn't believe you could. So what made that change for you?
I think what made me change was I knew I was good at what I do because I could see the results. But to think in monetary terms, because I'm a clinician, my job is just to help people that are sick. Yes, I get, that's my that's how I earn a living. But to actually think that I could earn much more from doing that and actually help more people in different parts of the world, it had really never occurred to me that it's possible, and it's possible because I've got a plan in place. I'm actually just really focusing on this one thing that I tend to do and do really well. And so the more I dug deep and the more I just focused on that, then it was like, oh, wow, this is actually doable. And actually doing it is what actually made me really believe, like, you know what, this is actually, I could influence a lot more people and actually get better results and have that time, I don't have to work 6 days, 7 days anymore. I could actually work 4 days and and still have 3 days to do whatever.
That's brilliant. Well, to help the other 100 million people. That's awesome. No, I think you're such a success story because the impact that you have in what you do for women's lives and babies' lives and families. I think it's amazing, and I'm so grateful to have met you and helped you and seen you along this journey.
Thank you. And I thank you for actually helping me to see and believe in myself more and actually see, because sometimes you do this because that is just what you do and you never really step aside. And I think what you actually helped me to do was to step aside and see the impact and the totality of what I'm doing into the world. So thank you very much for that. I will forever be grateful for that, because that really made me realize, you know what? I could actually help a lot more women, and I actually have the ability and the tools to do that. And I'm not using them properly because I'm not focusing. I'm just like, I'm a naturopath there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and totally. I think that's, where I talk to people about, you're really good at your job because you've studied it. You're the expert, but it's about, what are the other aspects that you need to be when you want to be out there to the world. So, this way you can be great at your job and now have way more impact with a lot more people.
Yes.
Which is really brilliant.
Totally.
Really brilliant.
And that's what you have actually done. For you, as Sarah, what you did was to make me see the bigger picture and actually held my hand to actually walk towards that bigger picture and be more impactful. And so whoever is actually considering to work with you, that's what you've been able to do for me. And I hope you'll be able to help more women to do that and help more women to believe more in themselves and know that if they have the right person holding their hand, the sky's the limit.
That's true. That's really true. Thank you so much for your time today.
And if you like listening to this story, stay tuned for many more.